In recent months, something has been happening on American soil that most people are filing under coincidence, under politics, under the ordinary noise of a troubled time, the financial pressure that will not ease no matter what the numbers say, the political violence that arrives without warning and departs without explanation, the sense that institutions which were supposed to hold are revealing one by one that they were never as solid as anyone believed. Most people look at this and see a country in difficulty. That is not what this is. Ashtar SHERAN has been transmitting on this specific pattern for longer than the mainstream conversation has been willing to acknowledge it. Not as prediction, not as warning designed to frighten, as diagnosis. The Galactic Federation does not observe what is happening in America right now and call it crisis. They call it a test, a specific, measurable, deliberately timed pressure sequence that targets the visible systems first, precisely because what breaks first reveals what everything else was built on. What is unfolding on American soil is not random, and it is not new. It is the final stage of something that was set in motion long before any living person was born, and the souls who have been feeling it, not reading about it, feeling it in the chest in the sleepless hours, in that sourceless certainty that something enormous is approaching. Those souls were not placed here to watch what is coming. They were placed here because they are part of what responds to it. That is what this transmission is about. Here is what I need you to have before we go any further. When 3 or more visible public systems begin failing within the same 90-day window, that is not coincidence, and it is not mismanagement. The Galactic Federation calls it the compression sequence. It has a name inside their transmission record. It has happened before. The last recorded instance preceded a civilization-level shift that no mainstream history captured accurately, but that the ancient sites of the American Southwest still carry in their geometry, in their orientation toward the stars, in the silence of their ruins. The compression sequence is not designed to destroy. It is designed to reveal. Every system that fails shows exactly what it was built on. Every structure that cracks open exposes the material it was made of. What is happening in America right now? The visible fracturing of institutions most people were already questioning. The political chaos that feels less like governance and more like a building discovering its own foundation is wrong. This is not the end of something, this is the diagnostic. And if you felt that in your body before your mind had time to argue with it, stay with me. Because that feeling is the first piece of evidence I want to examine. America holds a specific position in the planetary frequency architecture, not because of political power. The Galactic Federation has no interest in political power structures except as diagnostic tools, because of the land itself. The continent of North America sits at the intersection of energy rivers running beneath the earth, the ancient ones, the ones the indigenous peoples of this land have always known and named and honored. Those rivers have been running for longer than any recorded civilization, and they converge in significant numbers beneath the territory now called the United States. What that means practically is this. What happens in the collective consciousness of America, the fear, the doubt, the awakening, the resistance, does not stay contained within national borders. It moves through those underground rivers into the planetary field. America is, in the language of the Galactic Federation, a frequency test site, not by accident, by geological and energetic design, running back further than any human political arrangement. The Galactic Federation transmitted something specific about this that I want you to hear. They said the amplification works in both directions. Fear concentrated in America amplifies across the planetary grid faster than fear concentrated almost anywhere else. But, and this is the part that changes everything, so does clarity. So does steadiness. So does the signal of a soul that looked directly at the chaos, understood what it was, and chose not to collapse into it. That signal travels. It amplifies. It moves through the same rivers. If you have been the one in your family, your community, your circle of people, who looked at what is happening and said, "I know what this is," while everyone around you fell into panic or denial, that is not accident. That is function. You were placed in that position deliberately, and the signal you carry when you hold steady in the middle of the compression travels further than you have ever been told. If you have been feeling the weight of that function lately, The exhaustion of being awake in a sleeping world, the particular loneliness of reading the field correctly when no one around you has the same read. What I want to offer you right now is not consolation. The guide in the first pinned comment below this video contains the complete breakdown of the 5 daily practices the Galactic Federation has specifically designed for souls carrying frequency through periods of collective compression, including the Sovereignty Anchor, a 3-step field boundary protocol you can do in 3 minutes anywhere, for exactly the moments when the chaos outside begins pulling at what you carry inside. It is in the first pinned comment, because this moment calls for more than understanding. It calls for a daily structure that protects what you are here to hold. Subscribe to Stellar Command Portal so this transmission stays with you. Drop your name and where you are watching from in the comments. I want to know where this is landing, and the field benefits from knowing where its instruments are standing. There is a specific feeling that accompanies collective chaos when you are awake inside it. It is different from fear, though fear is present. It is different from grief, though grief is present. The closest I can describe it, the closest I have found after sitting with this for weeks, is this. It feels like watching a building you knew was structurally wrong, that you told people was structurally wrong, finally begin to show the cracks you always saw. There is something terrible in being right about a thing like that, and something clarifying, both at once. The Pleiadian Council transmitted on this feeling specifically, on the emotional experience of awakened souls during visible collapse, and what they named surprised me. They said the discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong with the soul experiencing it. It is a sign of accurate perception. The soul is feeling the gap between what the field is claiming, that everything is uncertain and terrifying, and what the soul itself knows, that this is not chaos. This is revelation. The discomfort is the friction between 2 different readings of the same event. One reading belongs to the old world. One belongs to the frequency the soul arrived carrying. But here is the complication I need to name honestly. Accurate perception does not automatically produce clear response. You can read the field correctly and still be pulled by it. You can know what the compression sequence is and still feel the compression in your chest at 3 in the morning. Knowing does not make you immune. The Galactic Federation has been very clear about this. The test is not whether awakened souls can identify what is happening. The test is whether they can hold their frequency while identifying it. Those are 2 different things. One is cognition, the other is discipline. The souls who pass through this window with their signal intact are not the ones who understood the most. They are the ones who practiced holding steady when the understanding made the stakes feel higher rather than lower. That distinction matters right now in the most practical sense possible, because there are awakened souls in this field who are consuming every transmission, tracking every visible system failure, reading every analysis, and losing frequency with every piece of information they take in. Not because the information is wrong, because information without daily field maintenance is just a heavier weight. Knowing that the compression is real does not shield you from it. The Sovereignty Anchor, the frequency check-in, the light anchor at the end of every day, those are what shield you. The knowledge is the map. The practice is the ground under your feet. And the independent soul, the one who arrived here through pattern recognition, through watching the gaps between what they were told and what they actually observed, that soul is often the most resistant to daily practice. Because practice can feel like submission. I understand that resistance. What I have come to see is that these practices are not someone else's protocol. They are the maintenance procedures for the specific instrument you are. The Galactic Federation names 3 responses to collective chaos, 3 distinct patterns that appear in the field when visible systems begin to fail. Understanding which one you are currently running is, in my reading of this, one of the most critical diagnostic tools available to an awakened soul right now. The first response is collapse into the narrative. The person running this response absorbs the official story about what the chaos means, the fear, the uncertainty, the helplessness. They may be spiritually awake in many ways, but in the face of visible disruption at this scale, the old programming runs faster than the awakening can counter it. The frequency drops. The signal becomes indistinguishable from the general field. The Arcturian Council is precise about this. Awakening without practice is a seed without soil. Real, alive, and without the support it needs to become what it was designed to become. The second response looks spiritual, but is not. This is the bypassing response. The soul that wraps every piece of chaos in immediate cosmic reassurance. Everything is divine plan. Everything is unfolding perfectly. Nothing to worry about. This produces a kind of calm, but it is not the calm of a soul that looked directly at what is happening and remained steady. It is the calm of a soul that looked away and called the looking away enlightenment. The Galactic Federation transmitted on this pattern with particular sharpness. Bypassing during the compression window does not protect the soul running it. It removes them from the function they were placed here to serve. You cannot hold frequency for a field you have chosen not to accurately read. The third response is the one that marks a soul as genuinely functional during this period. The soul running the third response looks directly at the chaos, does not flinch from the diagnosis of what it is, allows the emotional reality, the grief, the anger, the recognition, to move through them fully, and then returns to their frequency. Not because everything is resolved, not because the situation is better, but because they understand that their signal is more useful than their suffering. They metabolize the reality and return to function. That is not detachment. That is discipline. And it is the rarest response in the field right now. The question worth sitting with, and I mean actually sitting with, not answering quickly, is which of those three responses has been running most consistently in you over the past several weeks? Not which one you aspire to. Which one has actually been running? The answer is not a judgment. It is the starting point for what comes next in this transmission. The SHERAN Council transmitted something last week that I sat with for days before saying it aloud. Not because I doubted it, because I wanted to be sure I could deliver it in a way that lands the way it deserves to land. They said this: the souls who remain steady during the compression window are not steady because they are unaffected. They are steady because something in them recognizes the shaking, the way you recognize a voice you have not heard in years but cannot mistake. The steadiness is not numbness, it is memory, ancient cellular pre-verbal memory of having stood at exactly this kind of threshold before, in a body on a planet, when everything the old world was built on gave way at once. You have been here before. Not in this body, not in this country, not with this particular sequence of visible systems failing in this particular order, but at a threshold of exactly this magnitude. The soul carries that across lifetimes. The SHERAN Council used a phrase in that transmission I have not been able to leave alone since I received it. They said, the threshold is familiar to the ones who chose to be present for it. Chosen, not assigned, not placed against their will. Chosen with full awareness of what the threshold would feel like from inside the body, with full awareness of the compression, the loneliness, the weight of carrying what they carry in a field still catching up. Here is what that reframes if you let it. The fact that this moment is hard is not evidence that something has gone wrong. The hardness is the measurement of the magnitude of what this threshold actually is. The souls who chose to be present for a planetary test of this scale did not choose it because it would be comfortable. They chose it because they were built for it. The exhaustion you feel, the weight of watching, knowing, holding, that is not failure. That is the cost of running your signal at full capacity inside a field under compression. It is not a sign to stop. It is a measurement of how much you are actually carrying. The uncomfortable truth the SHERAN Council named, the one that had to be in place before this reframe could land, is this. Some of the souls watching this transmission have been compressing their own signal for years, managing themselves down to a size the rooms around them could accept. Out of care for relationships, for family peace, for the ordinary social contract that says you do not walk into spaces radiating certainty about things no one else there can see. That compression has been protective. It has also been costly. The SHERAN Council named the period from now through the end of this year as the window in which that self-compression becomes actively counterproductive. Not spiritually inconvenient, functionally counterproductive. The field needs your signal at full capacity. This is not the time to stay small for the comfort of rooms running out of time to catch up. What comes after the test is not distant. The Galactic Federation has been transmitting on this not as future comfort but as present orientation. Understanding what comes after changes how you move through the during. The compression sequence, when it runs its full course, produces what the Arcturian Council named as the clearing. Not a single dramatic event. A clearing in the field. The invisible frequency architecture that has been holding the old systems in place begins to lose its coherence. It loses its ability to maintain the compression. And when the compression lifts, even partially, the souls who held their frequency through it do not return to where they were before. They advance. The signal held under pressure becomes the new baseline they operate from on the other side. That is the mechanics of why this test matters. The pressure is not endurance for its own sake. It is the mechanism of the upgrade. For the souls holding frequency inside the country that sits at the amplification point of the planetary grid, the Galactic Federation has named the period from now through spring of next year as the primary pressure window. The compression will intensify before it lifts. The visible system failures will continue and in some areas accelerate. The political and social chaos will not resolve cleanly or quickly. That is not a reason for fear. That is the schedule. Knowing the schedule removes the shock from the experience. You are not watching an unexpected catastrophe. You are moving through a known sequence on a known timeline toward a known outcome. The specific outcome the Galactic Federation named is this. By the time this compression window closes, the souls who held their frequency will have contributed something measurable to the planetary field. Not in ways the external world will recognize or reward, but in ways the field itself records. The rivers of energy running beneath this continent will carry what you held. The signal you maintained will have traveled further than your individual life can trace. That is not poetry. That is how consciousness operates in a gridded planetary system. What I want you to leave this transmission carrying is not more information. It is a single orientation. The chaos is real. The test is real. Your presence in it is not accidental. What you choose to do with your frequency in the coming weeks and months is not a personal spiritual preference. It is a contribution to something that extends well beyond your personal experience of this time. Hold your signal. Practice the maintenance daily. Stop compressing yourself for rooms running out of time, and understand as clearly as I can transmit it to you that the part of you which recognized everything in this transmission before your mind had time to analyze it, that part is the instrument. Trust it completely. If you have been looking for a daily structure that supports exactly what this transmission has named, something that takes the understanding and gives it somewhere to live every morning when you wake up, the guide in the first pinned comment below this video contains the complete 21-day activation calendar, a specific practice, a daily affirmation, and a guided reflection for every single day of the next 3 weeks, so that what opened in you today has a daily address tomorrow. It also contains the full sovereignty anchor and the timeline alignment practice, the exact tools for souls navigating the compression window with their signal intact. It is in the first pinned comment. Subscribe to Stellar Command Portal so you receive every transmission as this window intensifies. Share this with one person who has been watching the same patterns you have been watching and carrying the weight of that watching alone. And leave your name and the city you are watching from in the comments, because knowing where the instruments are standing matters, and I read everyone.